The rich don't work for money. This was the absolute biggest lesson that I learned when I first read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. To take it a step further, Warren Buffett once said, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you'll work until you die. All right, so let me get this straight. Now, if the rich don't work for money, and if you don't make money while you sleep, then you'll work until you die, then what does that tell you? Now, I'm not trying to convince you that it's bad to continue working at your job until you're 70, 75 or older. Heck, if you like what you do, more power to you. You know why? Because we're always going to need good people out there in the workforce. But what I want you to do, I want you to get to the point that you're working only because you want to and not because you have to go out and earn a paycheck. Now, the wealth building experts are clear on one strategy. They want you to focus on developing multiple streams of passive income in order to cover your expenses. And then eventually, once you do that, you'll reach what's called FI, or financial independence. All right, so if this is the case, where do we start? Now, personally, for our family, investing in passive real estate deals to build additional income streams by using the earned income from this dental practice has really been one of the keys to our success. Now, you might be asking yourself, okay, Jeff, that sounds good, but what type of real estate investment is the best? Also, I don't really have much money outside of what's in my retirement accounts, so what should I do? Now, that's exactly what we're going to discuss today in this video. Hi, I'm Dr. Jeff Anzalone, periodontist and founder of debtfreedr.com. And this channel is all about helping doctors and other high income earning professionals grow passive income streams to reach financial independence using passive real estate investments. You ready? Let's get going. Now, if you're like me, busy, working, raising a family, then you should think long and hard about what type of real estate investor that you want to be if you haven't got into the real estate investing game to begin with. So the first question that you should start with, that I always recommend, is do you want to become an active or a passive investor? Now, this is the one step that I see most busy professionals skip when they first start out, because most don't want to put in the time developing goals on the front end, yet this is what's going to help guide you down the path to success if you choose to go into real estate. So the first step is this. You want to figure out how much money and how much time that you plan on putting towards a rental investment. How much money and how much time. By doing this, this is going to help determine your choice between being an active and a passive investor. An active meaning that you're a landlord, passive meaning that you're not a landlord, somebody else does it for you. Now, most of our passive investor circles members join the group because they don't have the time or the resources to find a rental home, a rental property, manage tenants, that sort of thing. Now, if you're not already a member of the Passive Investor Circle, you can simply go to my website, debtfreedr.com, and click the link that's on the home page. And once you do this, you'll begin to learn exactly the types of deals that I invest in. And if you want to invest alongside of me, you may get the potential to do that. Now, real estate guru Grant Cardone, he teaches his students to focus on getting really, really good at what they do best, whatever your business is or whatever your job or your career is, because the better that you get at your job, the more that you make, and the more that you make, the more that you can put towards real estate. And the more that you put towards real estate, the quicker you can become financially independent. Now, the best way for us was to focus on becoming passive investors, investing in what's called real estate syndication deals. Now, with these types of investments, I understand that you give up some overall control as what you do is you take your money and you pool it in together with a group of other real estate investors. Now, Syndications allow you to enjoy relief from the typical responsibilities and the time commitment that being a landlord requires. Because again, we're busy, we're dealing with kids, we want to focus our time while they're still with us in the house. I don't want to take calls in the middle of the night when a pipe busts or something like that. So now let's discuss the different types of passive investments that there are out there, okay? And now more than ever is a great time to become a passive investor, as there are much more choices than there are in the past. This is due really to something that was passed called the Jumpstart Our Business Startups Act, or Jobs Act. And what this did, this allowed businesses to start broadly soliciting and generally advertising and offering to accredited investors. Because before this was passed, you actually had to know somebody that was in a deal and they had to refer you. Now, with this act that has been passed, you can advertise these anywhere, Facebook ads, on billboards, whatever. It seems as if overnight, crowdfunding sites began popping up that advertise these different types of opportunities. Let me give you a couple examples. Apartment buildings are one, self-storage investing, hotels, mobile home parks, and what we're actually going to get into in a little bit more detail today is short-term vacation rentals. Now, not only did passive investors at this point, have access to these different types of crowdfunding deals, but also what it did, it opened up you, the investor, and me, the investor, to deal directly with these real estate sponsors. But before, again, you had to know somebody that was in these deals. So as you can imagine, with all these new choices out there, there has become a huge increase in competition. And the apartment syndication space has become much more crowded, which at this point, it's actually caused us to start to look at other avenues of investing, such as what we're going to discuss today, and that is vacation rentals. So, what exactly are vacation rental properties? Vacation properties are actually, they're typically privately owned, that travelers can rent out as an alternative to hotels. Sometimes people, they may have a big group, they may have several families. They don't want to rent all these different hotel rooms. So in that with that respect, they may want to look at something larger, such as a vacation rental or a home. And really, there's a broad range that these vacation rentals can have. They could have, their accommodations can range from just a spare bedroom to high-end luxury property offering all types of full service amenities like a chef, a butler, anything like that. So examples include anywhere from tents. Yeah, you can actually rent tents, log cabins, tiny homes, villas, beach homes, condos, apartments, yurts. There's all kinds of different things that you can rent out there now. Now, when this first got off the ground and the internet started getting real big, if you owned, let's say you owned a vacation home prior to sites like vrbo.com, like Airbnb, before these sites came online, then really you'd be hard pressed to try to rent out your rental property, because you would have to resort to putting ads in local newspapers. You would have to put out a sign, so you would only get traffic from local people, or you would have to go with travel agents. Now, eventually, HomeAway.com bought out VRBO, and then TripAdvisor bought out FlipKey, and now Airbnb at this point in time is really the go-to site of the vacation property owners market. And if you're considering purchasing a vacation rental property, then one of the things that I recommend that you do first is make sure that before you get going, you know your why that you're getting into it. Okay, this is very important. It's really very important about anything that you want to do in life, but especially with vacation rental properties. And if you're like me and you love to travel, then you actually may be considering investing maybe in your own property for vacation rental income. So after all, think about it. If you've already been doing this, if you've already been renting from other people who own these properties, then sometimes you may be considering, well, why don't I just buy one myself, right? Now, before committing to any type of short-term rentals, you want to take the time to figure out your overall investment strategy. So let me give you an example. So let's say Dr. T, he's a busy 45-year-old general surgeon from West Virginia. And when he's not working, Dr. T loves to travel with his family of six, as he knows that very, very quickly, all of those kids, they'll be out of the house before the blink of an eye. Now, for Dr. T, he's been practicing for 15 years, and he's built up a very, very nice seven-figure nest egg, but the majority of this money is in his practice's 401k. He also realizes that this money is essentially locked up until he is 59 and a half. Now, he understands, again, the time is of the essence, as his kids will be out of the house for him in 10 years or less. Now, the cool thing is, Dr. T read an article on my blog not that long ago, and he found out that I recommended Bill Perkins' Die with Zero book. And after Dr. T read the book, a light bulb went on. And what he realized, like what I realized after I read the book, was he really needed to enjoy his money now with family experiences instead of waiting until he was too older to possibly miss out on a lot of the things. And he started thinking about how he could access some of this retirement account money that he's got in his practice's 401k without being penalized, plus use it to cash flow for these different types of family experiences he wanted to do. And during this process of while researching, he actually stumbled upon a couple of articles, again, from the debtfreedr.com website about self-directed IRAs and self-directed 401ks, which actually gave him the knowledge now to accomplish both. He could access his locked up retirement account money without being penalized, plus use it to cash flow and enjoy his family. So really the point I'm trying to get across to you is, again, for him and for you, knowing that your why that you want to invest in vacation rental property, this is really going to be the fuel that drives you to success. Now, let's now move on and let's try to figure out how we can find some of these deals. How can we find vacation rental property investment opportunities? And as with really any type of syndication, whether you're in the multifamily space or not, the key, and I tell people this all the time, the key is finding the operators, finding the group with a long, successful track record. And again, I say it time and time again, the most important part of investing passively is not focusing on the deals. It's not looking at the highest returns, but it is finding the operators that you can trust. Okay. Now, how can this be done? Now, for starters, what you can do is check online to see if they have positive reviews. Start there. That's the quickest thing to do. And then, whenever you start interviewing these groups, you want to ask them for current investors, new investors that have been investing with them, and you also want to ask them about established investors that have been with them a while. And then I always think it's a good idea to, whenever you talk to either the new investors or the established investors, you ask them about who are some other operators that you've invested with that you want to stay away from, and who are some other operators that you have invested with that you continue to invest with. And one more thing that you can always do whenever you're talking directly to the operators is, if you couldn't invest in your own deal, what other group or groups would you invest with? And I tell you, you will find out a lot by asking that question. That's one of the things that people miss out on. They just focus on their investors, but always ask them what other group that they would invest with, and that's pretty cool. All right, so with vacation rentals, let's get back to that. The most significant aspect, as with any type of real estate, is all about the location, and the location. And whenever you're talking to these groups, you want to make sure that you ask them about where in their portfolio, where their current vacation homes are located and where they think that they're going to be moving to. What are maybe some of the future locations that they're maybe thinking about looking at or purchasing in. And popular travel destinations such as beach locations, ski resort locations, things such as that, they typically have a higher occupancy rate that because of this, it allows you to increase your cash flow. Now, here's some of the other questions that you should ask them. The first one is, do their properties generate consistent income? How do they estimate the potential a vacation rental property has? What are the calculations that they use? Another thing that you can ask them, are they investing for cash flow or are they investing for appreciation or both? You can ask them about tax benefits. Do they utilize depreciation for tax benefits and tax advantages? If so, how is this reported to the investors? What kind of marketing are they using to make sure that they keep the occupancy rate high? How do they determine the nightly rates for each rental? How much rental income can they expect from each property? And what are their management fees and how are they calculated? So again, these are just some of the questions that you can ask. I'm sure you can go online and search for more, but if you figure out the answers and you get good answers here and you've done your research about their track record, then you're probably in line of going with a good group. So let's move on to the pros and cons of investing in rental property passively. And before making any major decisions when it comes to investing, you want to consider anytime you're looking at something, what are the pros, what are the cons? And owning a vacation rental property passively has a lot of advantages. So as with any type of passive investments, such as syndications, cash flow via passive income is created. That's a huge advantage because that's what our goal is, right? Is to increase our passive income so we can move towards financial freedom. Second advantage is you can have your own personal vacation home for use. That's the whole point of this, right? You want to travel, you want to take your friends, you want to take your family. So you get to use what you invest in, and that's pretty cool. The third advantage is, and we touched on briefly, is tax benefits, such as depreciation. This can help lower your tax burden. If you don't already have a good real estate CPA, make sure that you get one on board as your advisory team. And then over time, if the rental was purchased again in the right location, then guess what? It's going to see a significant increase in value. Now, as with any type of investment, there's always going to be disadvantages to investing in things. Same goes with vacation rentals. The good news is the majority of these disadvantages has to do if you're an active investor, meaning you own the property, you're the landlord. And if that's the case, then that's a major disadvantage. You're a landlord. It's taking up your time. It's taking up your time doing things like cleaning after the tenants move out, getting it ready, getting it prepared for the next group that comes in. You're going to have to make sure that you continue to have an ongoing marketing process that keeps it full. And you're also going to have to deal with the management part of it. If you are the landlord and you don't want to do these things, then you have to turn around and pay for all of them. But you're still going to have to manage the people that are cleaning it. You're going to have to manage the marketing, and you're going to have to oversee the management because you want to make sure it's done right, even though you supposedly have somebody that's doing it for you. And again, if you invest passively with a group, then they actually have a team that can handle all this for you, which is why at this point in time, I like to be a passive investor. So, vacation rental property is a great place to start if you want to begin developing passive income, as long as you really perform your due diligence, again, to find that trusted sponsor. Now, if the property has been purchased correctly in the right location, then not only can you enjoy the extra income, but you also get to use a great second home to travel. And I don't know about you, but if you like to travel like our family does, this would be a awesome way to use some of your locked up retirement account money now while you're healthy enough to travel with your kids. Plus, you're going to get a good return and tax benefits on your money. I'm Dr. Jeff with debtfreedr.com. Thanks for watching. Take care.